Thank you so much. Zamira, the title that you chose for this, I think, was so incredibly apt that you say, looking to Tanach for guidance. As you said, it's the whole book of Tanach. We're not just looking at any one particular Megillah, but it's everything, and they're all interconnected. And Tanach is part of our story. It's our past and our present and also our future. Specifically, the Megillah, Eicha is ahistorical, meaning that even though we know it's a time of Yirmiyahu and we could have dates included, it's not mentioned at all in the Megillah. And I think that just highlights the fact that it's really for all times. And we very much can relate to it now. When I was reading it over again in the last few weeks, it's hauntingly relevant. And on one hand, I've been a big believer of avoiding reading disturbing descriptions of what has happened and certainly avoiding watching videos and the news, and it's all very negative and can enter us into a real place of crisis. On the other hand, I think there might be some of it is trickling in no matter what, and there might be some benefit, some purpose. We know that Yirmiyahu speaks about tears, and he in fact urges in Sefer Yirmiyahu in his own book, he urges the Mekonanot to teach the women, specifically as you're speaking about the women from Megilat Ruth, the idea of women crying tears. We know that Hashem counts every single one of our tears as precious. And, if you know the Rabbi Karbach story of the ocean of tears, every single tear is saved. And for some of us, that's what we've been doing when we do hear of things and some of the news does trickle in and we are brought to tears. As we know from Eicha, in the first person, Al Eila ani bochia eni yordamayim, and this experience, ki rachak mimeni menachem meshit nafshi, there is no one to comfort me. Hayu banai shomemim ki gavar oyev. Our children have become desolate because the enemy somehow has prevailed. Pasuk after pasuk in Eicha rings so true today, and we also know from the Gemara tells us that even if after the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the Shari Tefillah are locked. Shari Tefillah Ninalu, which we learned from Eicha. However, the gates of tears are always open. So when we're going to read a few psukim, just a few from Eicha that are so poignant and moving and relevant today, jarringly so, I hope that it's a little bit with this in mind, that if it does make us upset and it does almost bring tears to our eyes, then count that as a good thing. That for a few moments, those tears are more powerful than any prayer that we can have. So this pasuk definitely caught my eye from Perak Aleph. Maro mariti michutz shikla, cherev babayit kamavet. We know we say mishpacha shkula, someone who has a loss. From the outside, from the inside, this home that's meant to be a sacred place of safety, of kedusha, of love, of families being together, has known death. We know of our enemies celebrating. Kol oivai shamu ra'ati sasu. They hear of terrible things and they're celebrating. And then we speak to Hashem, ki ata asita, heveta yom. There's this idea of anger towards God, and it repeats. It's a theme that is found a lot in Eicha. And I say, as much as we say, okay, there's tears and there's power to tears, there's also power to calling out to Hashem in anger. Speak to God. Hashem wants a relationship with us. And we are trying to process as individuals and as a nation what is happening. Hashem asked us, Ayeka, we're asking Hashem, Ayeka, how could this be? How could you do this to your precious children? And there's also a power in that. And I want to give CHIZUK to all of us struggling in different aspects. If we're crying, if we're standing silent, there's also the idea of silence that's talked about in Eicha. And if we're talking to Hashem in anger, all of these are valid and legitimate in these very difficult times. These psukim in Perik Bet also, I'm sure you can understand, resonated. We talk about Hashem shafach ka'esh chamato. We say vayarok kol machamadei ayin. These beautiful people. I mean, the pictures are very hard to see. Everyone is so beautiful. Everyone is so precious. And there's fire. but we know it's from Hashem. We see the enemies on the riyah of just looking at things from the perspective of news and media. It's how could they do this, our enemies? But we know, coming from a place of emunah, it's Hashem. It's Hashem doing this, and we have to have emunah that there's a continuation of the story. This is just one small part of our history and our story that's happening right now. Kirabot anchotai v'libi davai, we read in the end of Perek Aleph of Eicha. Our sighs and our moans are many. Our hearts can feel sick. We literally can feel ill. And we know the Kutzker Rebbe tells us that when sometimes you want to cry and you can't even cry, the emotion is so overwhelming. Sometimes that is even the greatest of heart-rending cry of all. So really any emotion that we might be experiencing, and there's going to be aliyot and yeridot, all the different feelings, I think Eicha on one level is telling us they're all legitimate. And the fact that so many of these psukim ring true today will also give us some nechama, as we're going to see, because Eicha also includes hope, and also includes turning to Hashem, and also includes an idea of new beginnings. But one more pasuk, which to me is really heartbreaking. When I was reading it, how could we not think of the people literally in Otef Aza, when you have the same word, obviously meant something different, of these children. Al shever bat ami ba'atef olel v'yonek b'rechovot kirya, bit'atfam kechalal b'rechovot ir, b'shtapech nafsham el chek imotam. Of mothers and children in an embrace. You have the repeating phrase of the streets, the rechovot. I don't even want to go into a description, but it does bring tears to my eyes. And I say, you know what? Baruch Hashem, because we just had Yud Aleph Cheshvan. We know it's the Yom P'tirah of Rachel Imenu, and Rachel is crying. Kol Amar Hashem Kol B'Rama Nishman Hi B'Chitarim Rachel Mevaka Al Baneha. We know Rachel Imenu is crying. It's not stam that it's happening right now, that we just had it on Thursday, Yud Aleph Cheshvan. It's this tkufa. Hashem is linking the nechama together with this makkah together. If Rachel Imenu is crying, then let us women, the power of women, let us cry with Rachel Imenu. There is a power to our tears. And we hope that the very next pasuk in Yirmiyahu Lamed Aleph is going to come true any minute, when Hashem will say, you can stop crying now. You can stop crying. Your children are coming home. Yesh tikva, and there is hope. And this is where we are right now, and we're with Rachel Imenu crying. We know that Eicha Rabbah, the Midrash, also tells us this, that we have nechama together with the terrible tragedy that we have in Eicha. And as we said, it's ahistorical. It's relevant so much today. The Midrash tells us in Eicha Rabbah, all of these terrible nevuot, the atrocities that are meant to befall on Am Yisrael, Hashem hiktim refuah l'malka. Hashem gave us first the refuah in the nechama of Yeshayahu. One example there, the Midrash goes and lists many psukim, one from Yirmiyahu, and here we have the nechama from Yeshayahu, phrase after phrase, and here's just one of them. And we're going to continue here with another heartbreaking pasuk, 2 psukim, and then we're going to see some of the nechama from Yeshayahu. We have the Shevi. We know we're counting, what was the last count? 229 shuyim that we're davening for. Every single one is the whole world. And we have this in Eicha, in 2 psukim at least, in Eicha, and just in Perek Aleph alone, Alaleha, these tiny babies, halchu shvi lifnei tzar. These children, these men, these women, halchu bashevi, they've gone into captivity. And we daven for them every day. V'yishivim mehera l'chek mishpachotehem. And we say, V'yikram behem hakatuv. What do we say there in our tefillah? We quote a pasuk from Yeshayahu. Ufdei Hashem yishuvun. Uba'u tzion birina, v'simchat olam al rosham, sason v'simcha yasigu, nasu yagon v'anacha. We have the nechama that we're davening in the same moment as we have the tears, and we're so distraught. We have the nechama already there, and we're just hoping to see the Yeshua. As people of the Tanach, We need to see the book of Eicha in the greater context of all of Tanach, together with the Yeshua, together with the salvation, together with Hashem saving us. So similarly, we have a repeated theme in Eicha, Ein LAMENTATIONS. There's no one to comfort us. We're all alone. We're alone and we have no one to comfort us. But Hashem tells us in Yeshayahu and Perek and Aleph and in other places, Nachamu Ami, which we read after Tisha B'Av, of course. Hashem tells us, Anochi, Hu menachamchem, I, Hashem, we're going to comfort you. I am here for you. Within the challenge, within the darkness, Hashem is with us. Similarly, it's an amazing thing right now, these last 3 weeks. Bereshit, Noach, Lech Lecha, I'm sure many people in all of your communities, every parsha is so relevant. There's the battle of Or v'Choshech. There's building a teva, finding the words of tefillah to keep us afloat among the chaos. There's Lech Lecha, go to Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem is with you. Every parsha, and so to every haftorah. Every haftorah, the last 3 weeks, is mind-blowing, connecting to this nechama and the from Yeshayahu. On Breishi, we didn't read this haftorah because it was a Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh. But we daven for this, that we should be the Or L'Goyim. We should live up to what we're meant to be doing. That we should sing a new song, a shir chadash. That all those who are in kela, yoshvei choshech, that are trapped in darkness, will come into the light, and that Hashem will be the ish milchamot fighting our battles. We have this moment of darkness, that we have this feeling of hester panim, berega katona zaftich. That Hashem, right now, perhaps we see the darkness, but we also have the nisim, as was already said. We also have the light, and Hashem will be our goel. We daven to have it and to feel it both b'mera b'yamein in our days, and also that's from Parshat Noach and the haftorah from Parshat Lech Lecha, which we just read. Again, that Hashem should give us koach, that Hashem is with us, machziki minecha, and we shouldn't be afraid because Hashem is with us. So we have our emunah bolstered. As much as the words of Eicha ring true, so too the words of Nechama that Hashem placed side by side are also ring true. We also have strong words to strengthen us in the book of Eicha itself, in Megilat Eicha. We're going to just do a few more and then we're going to wrap up. In Megilat Eicha, we have different voices. We have the voice of Yerushalayim speaking. We have the voice of the Gever, the individual. We also have this plural voice. We see it in Perek Gimel a little bit. And we see at the very last Perek Hey, is all written in plural. Where we have the well-known pasuk, the second to last verse, and we're speaking all of us. It's the first person plural, this idea of achdut. Perhaps we mourned in silence, perhaps we cried, perhaps we called out in anger to Hashem as individuals, but ultimately we have to come together as a nation, as a people. And that is something that we see now coming together to Taitzitzi, to bring food and drive to Chayalim, to people who aren't religious, kashering their kitchens so they can make food for everybody, bringing food to people who have left Otef Aza to safe places, bringing clothing, bringing supplies, every possible thing, going to help pick the fruits and vegetables in the abandoned orchards so that people don't lose their parnasa. So many amazing things that we're coming together as a nation. This is what we need, the achdut. The avat chinam is what we can, Bezrat Hashem, bring the Beit HaMikdash. This is what can bring the Geula, and we have this feeling of hope in Eicha itself. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs tells us that even though we now are feeling this burden of a sense of surviving this catastrophe and this darkness, we cannot let it rob us of hope and faith. We need to have hope for a world of peace. And this idea of hope, shockingly, is in Eicha itself. In Perek Gimel, Psukim Chaf Aleph and Chaf Bet, we have Zot Hashiva Libi Al Kain Ochil. I will have hope. I will bring this to my heart and have hope. Chaste Hashem Kilo Tamnu. We know the song Kilo Chale Rachamav. We have to remember all the chasadim that Hashem has done for us, and let that give us koach. Let's not focus on the negative. Let's focus on the chesed Hashem has done. All of the history, our long past of chesadim Hashem has done for us, that Hashem will continue to do for our future, and Hashem is doing to us to this very day. Every morning Hashem does chesed for us, and we say every morning the words of Moda Ani Lefanecha, Melech Chai V'Kayam Shechazarta Bi Nisbati B'Chemla Rabba Emunatecha. This phrase Rabba Emunatecha comes from all places, of all books of Tanach. It comes from the darkest book of Eicha. Because we need to have hope for a new day. You see this picture of the darkness, the dark soil. There's no light, but from the darkness is what sprouts joy, what sprouts growth, new beginning and growth and hope. Every day that we wake up and open our eyes and we're zocha to say moda'ani, we have hope in the Jewish spirit. This is an ayin tova. We learn from Avram Avinu that we can begin anew. We can begin anew. And we daven to really begin anew, a new era of the Beit HaMikdash. As we also see in Yeshayahu, B'achrit HaYamim, that we should have Har Beit Hashem. We should celebrate the end of this war with the Karban Shlamim and the Beit HaMikdash. As I know Rabbanit Shani Tergan has often said, and I've taken it to heart. And we daven for our Chayalim, we daven for Eretz Yisrael, we daven for Am Yisrael, that we should have Hatzlacha, we should see Yad Hashem, Bofen Galui. We should come out from the darkness to the light and feel Yeshuot v'nechamot. Thank you.